Carolyn Dube here, and today I'm playing with something called totem poppets. When the company approached me and said, hey, would you like to play with these? I took a look at them and I thought, yeah, because I'm not, how shall we say, skilled at drawing realistic animals, but I do love the look of animals. So I thought this was a great way for me to get these into my art journal. So I'm going to play with the unicorn, Pegasus, winged horse thing. I've got all the pieces punched out here, and it really wasn't hard to punch them out. They came out really easily. Now, of course, anytime you have something like this, sometimes you'll get those little nubbies that show up on them. So that is just a nail file type thing, and I'm looking for any of the big nubbies, and I'm going to smooth those out. Once that's all done, then I'm ready to start thinking about putting them together with the eyelets. These are put together with 1/16 inch eyelets, and I just found the eyelet tool that says 1/16 inch on it, so I know that I've got the right eyelet setter for the eyelet, so my tools are ready, but now I need to figure out which parts I'm putting together. They have a great picture that comes on the package, so I just used that to figure out what pieces went where. Now there were some pieces where I wasn't completely sure I wanted to put them that way, so I'd kind of play around with if I wanted to flip something this direction or that direction. And the cool part is, since I'm putting this together, I can alter it or change it any way that I want. In the end, for the most part, I went with how they had their picture, but it sure does open up a lot of possibilities for what I want to put together next time. Now I've zoomed way in so you can see that I've got an eyelet right there in about the middle facing up. And now what I'm going to do is put the pieces on top of it. These were such little eyelets to work with that I found this to be the easiest way to do it. So I had the eyelet there, then put the pieces I want over it, set my eyelet setter on top of it, and then you just pull the top up and it snaps it in place. I've zoomed out to show you another eyelet that I'm putting in, same exact technique, just with a slightly different look because the camera zoomed out. And I gotta tell you, it was easy, it was fast, and it was kind of addictive to just lift that thing up and have it go boom, and my eyelet is set. Well, I have my unicorn all ready and built, and I'm going to show that to you a little bit later in the process, but now I need to start creating the art journal page that it's going to go on. So I had this background from who knows when that I decided to start with. And I was kind of feeling a little stalled, so I thought, well, I'm just going to go with my first idea, and that was to stencil a bunch of words on it. So I took my uplifting words stencil and I just stenciled all over it. Now, I gotta tell you, this art journal page was, I guess we could just say, one oops after another, because after I was all done stenciling this, I didn't like it at all. So I brought in some heavy-bodied white acrylic and I just covered over most of it. Now, little bits and touches are hinting out on the edges. Well, then I decided I wanted to add some pattern paper, so I grabbed some jelly printing scraps, and I'm just going to use that wet paint that I've got down there to act like the glue that's going to hold it in place. So see that one piece that I had? Yeah, totally changed my mind on that one, and went with a different piece. And the good news is, I'm allowed to change my mind if I want. And I was having so much fun coloring the unicorn in with pinks and that kind of stuff, I totally forgot to hit play on the camera, so my apologies, but it's just spray ink and a stencil on there. The stencil I used was Scribble Scratch to get that crazy look on the horse. So here's where I want to put the horse, and instead of using gel medium to put it down, I'm just going to use more of that heavy-bodied acrylic paint. I mean, it's basically gel medium with white color in it, or pigment, or whatever they call that stuff, but you know what I mean. So I've got this nice thick area of paint, and now I get to pose my horse, so like a little kid playing with a toy, I get to make the horse do what I want, have the look that I want, which is something I really appreciated about this, was that I can make it fit what I want it to. And I definitely wanted the tail up, I knew that much, and I wanted kind of a running, movement-y kind of pose with it. So once I've got it where I want it, then I just smoosh it down into the paint. I added a little more paint under the hooves because it just didn't seem like I had enough there. And since the paint's still wet, I can even still maneuver and manipulate the legs and body parts to get the look that I want. So now as I start adding more things to this page, like more color, I'm going to be really careful to not get it on the horse, which is actually really funny with what's going to happen to this in just a moment or two. As I'm going around the horse, I'm being really careful, but yeah. And that's my box of scraps that I like. And I'm just going in there and digging out some scraps, adding some different papers. Notice how I'm working around the horse. Notice how careful I'm being to place things around the horse. Enjoy that pink because it's about to disappear. Now the horse is going white. I am just going right over it, not really being that careful about it. And as soon as I do that, I go, I missed the pink. So back comes the pink paint and on it goes. This was just oops after oops after oops. That is a fancy Q-tip that I'm using around there to get some of the edges. Clearly, I didn't need to be that careful around the edges of the horse because I'm coming in with a brush and getting things smeared around. And you know what? I'm really liking how the horse is embedding in my art journal page around the paint and that kind of stuff. Every oops really is an outstanding opportunity presenting suddenly. And as long as I have that Q-tip out, might as well use that and so add a little more color because I got to get the whole rainbow on an art journal page. You know how I am about that. Well, remember that stencil from the beginning, uplifting words? Turns out I do want to use that on this page, but not the whole thing, just a couple of the words. Because to me, it really summed up what a unicorn was all about. It's all about go be magic. Well, turns out that was an oops. I didn't like how the white looked on that scrap piece of blue paper that I had, so I'm just going to put the stencil right back on top of it, and I'm going to try a different color, and that did not work at all. Could not see that at all. Blue against blue, maybe not the best choice. So wipe it all off, and I'll start again. This time I'm going to go with some orange, and we'll see how this one turns out. That stands out a lot better. Getting happier, but guess what? That thing's going to go through a lot of stuff between now and the end, too. Well, now it's time for me to mess with the words. That's a Stabilo All pencil that I'm taking over that to try and darken up those words to get them the look that I want. But you know what? We're just going to call that an oops. And that is some kind of outstanding opportunity presenting suddenly. I'm not sure what it is yet, but I'm sure it will be in the end. I am just going to line the stencil right back up over that, and back to orange we go. But you know what? It's kind of got a nice little darker shadow around it because of that. So turns out that oops was an opportunity. But I'm still not done messing with some of this stuff. I've got a unicorn with a cool horn. It's got to have some sparkle to it. I've got the words magic on there. I got to have glitter for that. So out came the glitter glue in a wonderful bright pinky purpley color, and so now the horn sparkles, but glitter is a little addictive. And once I pulled a little of it out, I had to go get some more. So now I'm gonna make the words go be magic sparkle too. Well, thanks for joining me for some art journal play today. If you've enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more of my videos, I'd love it if you subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you've got friends who you think would enjoy seeing this also, I'd love it if you'd share it with them. Thanks for being a part of this colorful journey. Oh, and by the way, you can find links to everything either down below in the description of the video. If they're not there, they're over on my blog at acolorfuljourney.com.